Arthur Palmer, an elder in 1940 by Arthur Palmer.
September the 25th, 1940, in the Mesa Temple was the happiest day of my life. To know that my dream had come true of being married for time and all eternity. As we knelt across the altar in that beautiful temple, everything was so very sacred and solemn. I'll never forget as you smiled and winked at me, and I nearly fainted. You have always been able to make life for me so exciting and enjoyable. With your wonderful sense of humor, you've always been so fun to be with. Our honeymoon was taken on Liberty Head Nichols you had saved, and then coming back home to our little three-room shack that was truly a palace to me, with the second-hand furniture you had bought and had it all paid for, so we didn't start our marriage in debt. I'm so grateful that you always honored the priesthood that you held, and you've been so patient and understanding of my many faults and shortcomings. I'm so proud to have the privilege of having your children, for I remember the advice given to me by my Uncle Dick before we were married. Josie, will you be proud to have this man's children? If you are, your marriage will succeed. I love you more today than I did the day I married you, for our love has truly deepened each year. Thanks for letting me be your wife and the mother of your children. I love you, Duffy.
Since Josie and Duffy were married, Bishop Palmer has served in many positions of the church. Was a Sunday school teacher for many years, a coach and a player of MM basketball. He served on a stake mission, superintendency of the MIA in 7 different wards, served in the branch presidency of Stadium Village at the University of Utah while going to school, been on the High Council, been in the bishopric, and now serving as bishop of this ward.
Congratulations on your 50th birthday. Now you know what I've been going through for the last several years. This is your old buddy and co-worker, Eldon Barlow. In remembering some of our associations, Duffy, I can't help but recall that we had one of the most closely knit bishoprics that I have ever known. You and I and Don had some wonderful experiences together, along with those fine brethren that served as our clerks over the years. And I'm not forgetting the wonderful food that we were served at your home. You and Josie were really accomplished when it comes to providing some Mexican dinners. And I remember how some of us were a little bit burned up, shall we say, with some of that hot Mexican food the first time, but then you were good enough to cool it down a little bit for us, but it was real enjoyable. And it was a most enjoyable experience for all of us. You have certainly accomplished some wonderful things in the years you've been in this area, Duffy, and I certainly want to commend you on that. You're doing a great work now where you are as Bishop of your ward there, and I'm sure that your people have learned to love you and appreciate you, just as we did in the 3rd Ward a few years ago. I have always considered you and Josie and your family among our very finest friends, and I trust that this relationship will remain on this basis as long as we live. In fact, we might even extend a little further than that. But I do again commend you on achieving the high point in your life, 50 years of age. And it may be a little dubious distinction, but nevertheless, it's a real accomplishment, believe me. May the Lord bless you in your work and sustain you in your obligations to your ward and to your church and to your family. Thank you.
I remember Duffy when he the first that I remember of him when he came to Clearfield. We were meeting in the old chapel down on South Main Street, and
Clearfield, and one of the first things I remember was that Duffy gave a talk in sacrament meeting, and I believe it was just a few days after he gave that talk that they had to tear the building down and move the benches out, and that's when we moved up into our new building up on Center Street before Duffy went into the as a member of the bishopric. I've had many years of association with Duffy. I met him soon after he came to Clearfield, and have been very well acquainted with him. I have a very deep admiration and respect for him and his ability and his dedication. He and I went on the High Council at the same time when the Clearfield Stake and the North Davis Stake, the Clearfield Stake was created and North Davis Stake was divided. We served on the High Council together for a number of years until he was made Bishop of the Second Ward, and then soon after that I was released and made Bishop of the Fifth Ward. We've had a lot of good times together. I remember one High Council party we had, and it was our turn to be the hosts for this, and we served Mexican food one night. And Duffy, in fixing these up, would go along and pick out who one was going to go to and make it especially hot. And I remember he prepared one for President Broadbent one time that was especially hot. And somehow it got mixed up and ended up at Grace Steed's plate. And I understand that there's been some hot words, perhaps, between Duffy and the Steed. Seriously, I think Duffy is one of the most dedicated people that's ever been my opportunity to know. For many years, we met together, sometimes early Sunday morning in his home, and he's always had a great interest and a dedication in youth, and I've seen him give of his time and of his talents very liberally to help people in the church and people outside the church, and particularly the youth, and he's always been very concerned. I know that he has a real testimony of the gospel, and he's the kind of individual who doesn't just know this, but he practices it in his everyday life. And I've known many people who are grateful to him for the influence they've had for the influence he's had in their lives in helping them to gain a testimony of the gospel, to live unitedly together as families, to learn the true meaning of a Christian life. And this time I would like to pay tribute to Duffy and tell him how much I've appreciated being associated with him, and to acknowledge the example that he's been to me all my life. And I certainly hope that this might be a joyous occasion for him, and that the future years might continue to be wonderful years for him, and that he might have the blessings of the Lord to be with him in all that he endeavors to do.
Bishop Palmer has dedicated his life to serving the youth. He has a natural talent making friends, gaining respect, and having down-to-earth, clean fun with all of the young people. They idolize him. This is a letter from President David O. McKay, response to Bishop Palmer's concern about youth, marriage, and some of the evils of society. After serving in the bishopric of the Clearfield's Third Ward, he was called to serve on the Clearfield Stake High Council. From here, he was called to be bishop of the Clearfield Second Ward. After a few years, he yearned to return to the farm where his family could taste of some of his boyhood memories. Bishop Palmer moved to Syracuse. He served as M-Men basketball coach and while residing in the Syracuse Ward. Then in September of 1968, again the Lord saw fit that he serve as bishop of a newly made Syracuse Third Ward.
I'm glad that my dad's a bishop. He's the best bishop in the whole ward.
Bishop and Josie Palmer are the proud parents of 5 boys and 2 girls, a closely knit family with great spiritual understanding. Bishop, here are some of your grandchildren, along with some of your children.
da 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 da.